Alright, still on the Civil War thing. I'll let you know if it changes. I'm going to talk about this until I feel better or until things get under control. I want to talk briefly about the economic impact of Civil War. There's lots of websites out there that talk about the collapse of the dollar and what that might mean. If you want the detailed, nitty-gritty economic analysis, there are lots of sources out there for you. But I'm going to put this in basic terms that, anybody can understand, and I'll just hit the highlights. So, what would Civil War do to our economy? What would even the next level up from where we are now, civil unrest, do to our economy? Well, the basics of how our economy works is that the dollar, its value against other currencies, in other words, how many dollars does it take to buy a euro, or how many dollars does it take to buy a yen, is traded. Currencies are traded kind of like fruits and vegetables and gold in a commodities type market. The COMEX market is where the currencies are traded. Currencies, the value of the dollar goes up and down against foreign currencies and vice versa. But to put this into hometown terms here, the value of the dollar affects what you can buy with a dollar bill. And people my age have seen a ridiculous amount of inflation in our lifetime. A lot of people put money in gold because one of the things about gold is that it's worth the same today in goods and services, a piece of gold, as it was 150 years ago. As gold goes up and down, so do prices. So higher gold prices means higher everything prices. Lower gold prices mean lower everything prices. So what we're talking about here is inflation. We've been experiencing inflation a lot in my lifetime. It's become kind of ridiculous. I talk to young people and I tell them that cigarettes, when I started smoking, were 85 cents a pack. That I can remember when gas was less than 50 cents and per gallon. Gasoline is very much about supply and demand, so there's some other elements involved there as well. Candy bars were 19 cents when I was a kid. You could get candy bars for 6 or 8 for $1. And so that gives you an idea how things have changed. But the collapse of the dollar as it pertains to Civil War, it's one of the dangers. Now, what happens when the dollar collapses? What does that mean, the dollar collapsing? What it basically means is that people in foreign countries stop valuing the dollar as much as they did before. And the dollar, anything that's in a commodity is kind of like a popularity contest. So one minute you can be the team of the football team and everyone loves you and you're running the school, you're the most popular kid in school, and then something happens to ruin your reputation or make you look bad, and now your name is dirt. That's the basics of what a monetary collapse is all about. All it takes is for other countries to say, we don't trust America and we're afraid their dollar might collapse, so we're going to stop using their dollar. We're going to stop accepting it. We're going to, if you want us to trade your dollar for our yen or trade your dollar for our euro, we're going to need a lot more of them before we give you our more stable currency. Now, the United States dollar has always been the benchmark, blue chip, what everything else is measured up against currency in the world due to our economic strength, our unity, and our focused collective power. So we're already starting to see shifts in global currency markets because of the instability that's happening here. I was very disturbed to hear the United Nations announce that they believed the United States is actually already in a civil war. And I want to watch the markets closely because the stock market could crash, or at least shift significantly away from American investments if civil war is inevitable. If civil war were to break out for reals, and this instability became more widespread and more continuous, then you could see a sudden spike in prices because of a diminishing dollar value. So now instead of $1, 50 or whatever for a loaf of bread, you could be looking at a $15 loaf of bread. When inflation happens suddenly due to instability, it's often referred to as hyperinflation, compounding inflation, inflation upon inflation. And you could see, the thing about hyperinflation is it happens so quickly that there's no way that wages can be adjusted to make up for the higher prices. So those of you that are living comfortably now or surviving or barely getting by could suddenly see their earnings, the money they have to spend, not be worth as much and not go as far. So you could find yourself broke at the first of the month instead of the end of the month. You could find yourself unable to pay for basic goods and services like gasoline and clothing and food. Utilities are sluggish in catching up to inflation. Same with rent. It takes a while for rent to go up, but it's kind of a domino effect. When basic goods and services goes up, then housing goes up. Eventually, wages will rise to compensate so that people can survive and live. But with hyperinflation, the instability is causing it to collapse so quickly that there's no way to adjust. And you could literally find yourself not having enough enough money to buy food and survive day to day. So while you guys are out there fighting for your rights, while you guys are out there calling everyone a racist, while you guys are out there being a racist, while you guys are fighting in the street because you're bored and you don't have a job and you got nothing to do, you're not succeeding, everything's hurting, so you're gonna protest and lash out. But I want you to think about this: that by destabilizing our economy, you could be setting up the perfect storm of financial collapse in America that could land you in a much tighter spot than you are right now. This is just one more element of this knot that makes up what a civil war would do to the common man and to the people here in America. This is why I'm going to keep preaching peace. I started this as a conspiracy channel, but to be honest with you, things are so out of whack that I just really feel almost led to just preach peace, to explain to you the horrors of what's coming if you don't choose peace. If you don't choose dialogue over violence, then you are destroying your own nest. You are tearing your own house down around you. Sure, everybody was like, if you're dedicated to your cause, I will die for my cause. Well, would you like to see your family die for your cause too? Would you like to see America die? I love this country. And I know this country will work if we can all work together. So lay down your sticks and stones, go back to your houses and write your congressman. Go back to your houses and go back to the internet and sign petitions and do what you can. There's no legal way for you to get rid of Trump. Those of you that want to get rid of Trump, what you're trying to do is get rid of the Constitution, because he was constitutionally certified whether you like the election or not. The certification of an election basically says no matter what happened, it's done now, and this is the cat that's going to run things. And if you kill him, you're going to bring this whole country down at the same time. People won't accept a leader that is brought in to replace an existing leader when it's done against the Constitution. Stick to the Constitution. It's got us through all these centuries. It's gotten us through all of the wars and the recessions and the depressions and the conflict, because ultimately it comes down to our Constitution. The instability you're causing is going to be impossible for us to come back from because we have so many enemies. That if the dollar collapses, foreign nations will come into America and divide it up into chunks. And instead of working for a citizen, no matter what his color is, you're going to be working for a foreigner of some other, many colors. They will turn this into a socialist state and make us all slaves. And they'll like it because they hate us. Do you want to join the America haters, or do you want to join America? God bless America and preserve the Union.